What do they smell like? I successfully completed 10 before the end, and I busted out 10 reads in the month of December. So this is my December reading wrap up, but also a successful 10 before the end video. I don't want to spend a ton of time talking about each book, but I want to log what I've read for the month per usual, get into what I missed reading this month, and then, you know, wrap the year up. Starting off with the short story collection from 2024. I love these books. Every time I read them in the end of the year, I'm like, these are so good. I buy the next year's one, and then they do sit on my shelf for the whole year. Like, I have the 2025 one, and maybe I'll read it in January instead of December this time. I did 2 rereads. I picked up books that I remember really, really loving when I read them for school, but I wanted to see what I thought about them now. That's Lord of the Flies and also The Secret Life of Bees. I would say still both complete home runs. I really, really enjoyed the reading experience for both of these books, and I'm so glad that I now have them in my personal collection. I think that was a double win, but also really created a lot of momentum going forward because they were easy reads. So I contribute my 10 before the end success, honestly, to these 2 books being right off the bat. I Want to Die, But I Want to Eat Tabaki. I thoroughly enjoyed this, but it also had me like questioning my relationship with my own therapist at the same time. And I didn't know that there was another one. We're kind of at the mercy of these being translated, and the second one has been translated. I learned halfway through this that the author is no longer with us, which kind of puts a whole different spin on what you're reading and how you're participating in the story. And I wish I would have either known that going into the book or known that at the end, not found it out in the middle, because it felt like I was like analyzing further what was happening. But also, this book is in conversation format, so really, really fast read. Then I hit a rut. I picked 2 tiny books off my shelf, one of which was James Baldwin's Giovanni's Room, and I think in my bones that I'm supposed to love this book. I'm supposed to have annotated this book and marked this book up and put pins in the pages and all of those things, but I just didn't. And I want to say that that is because I was rushing and I was trying to read things. So like, it does probably deserve a reread, and that's obviously really manageable. But I do want to say it's because I didn't give it a fair chance, and I will revisit it. Maybe it's overhyped and it doesn't even matter, and I'm just like succumbing to what I've read on the internet. I don't know. Hi, big brain. Okay. Next up, another one of those situations, Love by Toni Morrison. I haven't read any Toni Morrison, and this is the one that I own, so I picked it up. I think it was a terrible place to start. I will give Toni Morrison another chance, but boy, didn't realize what I was getting into here, didn't appreciate that, and but I did really, really like the writing, just didn't love the story. Carol. This has been on my TBR for so long because I keep forgetting to read it at Christmas time. And I do think that that was the correct move, was to read it around the holidays. And now I can finally take this off of my TBR. And also now I can finally watch the movie because I've read the book. I'm excited about that. I had a blast reading this. It makes me want to go read other Patricia Highsmith stuff, but I think I will maybe just perpetually be disappointed because there's an afterword by the author in here in which she says she never writes anything like this ever again. At this point in my time before the end, I was kind of like getting stressed about how much time I had left in the month. So I picked up the last 2 Before the Coffee Gets Cold books, Before We Forget Kindness and Before We Say Goodbye. I will say that I really enjoyed Before We Forget Kindness. Like, reading these together, this one did stand out as an outlier, but I will say that they both just kind of like fit in how all of the other ones are, and they're very like equivalent reads. You get 4 short stories in the cafe. I just think I maybe clicked with the characters in this one a little bit more, but I will say that this one kind of brought forth like new elements of the cafe, and that was a little bit refreshing. So they were both wins for different reasons, but this one just kind of slightly pulled ahead for me. And then I only had 2 days left, and so I picked up Bone Gap. This is a YA novel that has been on my TBR for a while. I think I just picked it up in like a used bookstore one day out of pure curiosity, and then I saw that it was blurbed on the cover by E. Lockhart from We Were Liars, and that got my like attention real quick, so I brought it home with me. Didn't know what this was about at all. It has like a touch of magical realism, and I have found out this year, I love that. I read this like nobody's business. Yes, because there was a bit of a fire under my ass as it was like December 28th, but also it was just genuinely good. I feel like it was so well-rounded. I didn't feel like I was an adult reading a young adult book, and this kind of like has a nostalgic element to me where sometimes the level of description that is in like children's books or some YA books in this case is so impeccable that you just feel completely immersed. Like you feel the weather when you read certain books. And there's something about authors who are used to catering to a slightly younger audience being able to really nail that. And I kind of think of it as like that talent that a lot of teachers have of just like communicating with youth. Like that really shines through in certain books, but like for sure in this. And it contributed to me loving the reading experience so much that like I think whenever I would have picked this up, I would have read it in just a few days. Those were my 10, which I was obviously very, very, very busy for the month reading all of these, and I had to set aside all of my comic books for the month, which includes the most recent stuff I've grabbed from the library at the beginning of the month, which is Something is Killing the Children Volume 1 and Stumptown Volume 2. I'd love to go into January like getting ahead on these because they're overdue. And then this is all of the books I've picked up from my local comic book shop in the month and not been able to read. So starting off with The Ultimates Volume 1. I haven't been able to touch this yet, but I wanted to have it on hand because of Spider-Man. We've got the Marvel Winter Break special, which I haven't been able to read yet, but it's killing me, so I'm probably going to read that right when I finish this video. In the same vein, we've got the Holiday Spider-Man Spectacular. Want to read this before winter's over. We've got Blood and Thunder, issue number 8. We've got Exquisite Corpses, issue number 8. This is killer that it's on this list because normally I read these right when I come home from the store. Same goes for Everything Dead and Dying, issue number 4. Cannot believe I haven't gotten to this. Planet She-Hulk 1 and also 2. These are new pickups. I'm just curious. Rainbow Rowell had me fall in love with She-Hulk, so I fully support like buying the characters that you love in as a way to support writers supporting those characters and whatnot. So I picked these up because I am ambitious and hopeful and would love for She-Hulk to be popular. We've got Ultimate Spider-Man 23. This makes sense that I'm dragging my feet on it because I just don't want the end to happen. This is one away from the end, and that sucks. Then we've got Spider-Man Noir number 3, which I've really been enjoying. And then we've got The Amazing Spider-Man 17 and 18. So particularly this stack of single issues that is like almost unmanageable and needs to be boarded and sealed and properly stored, all of these things, they've just been floating around my house like naked. I could potentially finish these in the day that I have between filming this and actually like starting the new year, but we're just gonna call these 10 books my December wrap up.